Boom! Welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, Thursday, July 20th. Big game breakdown. Tigers and Royals and the Yankees continue their road trip in Seattle. Deep dive, NFC East today. The Dallas Cowboys. Elliott looking at a suspension. Win total. We'll get to the Cowboys 9.5 coming up off the 13-3 season last year. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. In a second, we saw the photos. We saw the tweets. You had excellent seats. How was Fenway?
It was a lot of fun, Paul. It really was. Fun. It was a beautiful night for baseball. The Red Sox won. It was easy. Nothing but good times. It was, and of course, I got the $24 lobster roll. But I love the tweet. I love the tweet from Daniel H. It's perfect Boston right there. Teddy, just a pick of the roll works fine. That's take you down a notch. I'm all in favor of that. But literally, there was by the Blue Jays on deck circle. I could have spit and hit Batista a couple of times.
How much was a beer?
I didn't drink. I don't know. It was like $5 for a water, dude.
Yeah, so you can imagine, right? That's a rough crowd. That's a unique crowd. First time I was on an airplane, I flew from Minnesota to Boston. I went to a doubleheader at Fenway. Clemens pitched one of the games. They had a blow-up doll in the stands they were throwing around. And then I'm 10 years old, some cracker from Minnesota. I'm just a kid, and a guy gets in my face, "Fuck the Twins, go Red Sox," he says. I had a Twin shirt on. I'm 10 years old.
That'll wake you up, man. I like the East Coast mentality of if you can't take a joke, go fuck yourself. That's always appealed to me.
Oh, man, it was something. All right, they won. You had a good time. And now we're knocking out the show and you're shattered. Boy, the witnesses here are dropping left and right. This could be, I guess, some good news for Ezekiel Elliott. The Dallas cops can't get a hold of the alleged victim as well, so they put the investigation on hold. This could be one bullet that he's dodged here, Teddy.
Yeah, and it certainly, doesn't hurt the Cowboys' star running back to have fewer allegations against him than more. But, Elliott still, it's hard to be a rock star if you're not used to being a rock star. And he was a rock star at Ohio State, but it's a different level when you're in Dallas and you're the guy. We've seen previous Cowboys struggle with that level of attention. See how Elliott responds as the season progresses.
We'll get to that coming up. Bad beats. Look at this. Every day in baseball, the Indians led 4-2 in the eighth. They lost 5-4. Their issues continue on the road, especially in the second half since the All-Star break. It's tough that you lose a series against the god-awful Giants, Teddy.
Well, that's on the heels of getting swept by last-place Oakland. Their lead over the Twinkies in the Central down to half a game right now in a really tough series for that Indians bullpen that we've loved all year. Cody Allen suffered a loss last night because Francona didn't want to use Andrew Miller in a night-to-day setting after he threw multiple innings on Tuesday. So this time was Brian Shaw got the L, and Buster Posey didn't start. Came in with a 2-run pinch hit double in the eighth to drive in the winning runs.
All right, what happened? How about a bad beat for both sides? We had blown saves all over the place in this Detroit-Kansas City game.
Yeah, the Royals get an unexpected gem from Jason Hamill. Despite another poor offensive effort, they went in the ninth with a 1-run lead, and then Kelvin Herrera gave up a 1-out walk and then a dinger, and boom, first blown save since May. So now it's the Tigers' turn to try to close it out. And Detroit with a 1-run lead in the bottom of the ninth, and then Justin Wilson. Oh, he hadn't blown a save since May either. A 1-out walk, and then Brandon Moss double, advanced to third on the throw, sacrifice fly, ball game. So both teams blow saves. I had a big ticket on the Tigers last night. I did not enjoy the bottom of the ninth nearly as much as I enjoyed the top of the ninth.
All right, bad for the books. It was a rough day for the shops. Good job for the players out there. We do it every day. Why not? Dodgers, 20-cent move. They went from 170, 190. They thrashed the White Sox. They're 31-4 in their last 35 games. I looked it up. In 2013, they won 42 of 50 during one stretch, including 15 in a row on the road. Dodgers have now won 11 in a row. It's every night that of course, they're going to take monies. Like you said yesterday, the bookmakers, nothing they can do. They got bailed out the night before because they didn't cover the run line with Kershaw, but this is lunacy.
Well, the basic rule right now, we talked about how yesterday was a miserable day for the shops. The basic rule is anytime the Dodgers win, the books are having a bad day. And when the Dodgers are winning every day, and the Cubs now are winning every day, it's really bad news. We're seeing a lot of Dodgers-Cubs parlays from bookmakers, both here in Vegas and offshore. Well, I'm not in Vegas, but you're in Vegas right now. In Vegas and offshore, dealing with that. And of course, how hot are the Dodgers? Let's put it this way. Enrique Hernandez, he entered the game hitting .211. He hit multiple home runs to help break it open. Yeah, that's when you know your team is red hot.
Yep, excellent point about the Cubs, who have back-to-back sweeps now, and they're only a game and a half back, too. That's a good point. 40-cent move on the Rockies. Arenado, what a game. 5 for 6, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs. Rockies go off a $2 favorite, and they sweep the Friars.
Yeah, I mean, there was a 40-cent move towards Colorado. The bettors were going nuts betting against a contact pitcher at Coors Field. Clayton Richard, it was a rough outing, let's put it that way. He pitches a contact. Well, the contact was 14 hits of the 27 batters that he faced. He gave up as many runs, 11, as outs recorded, 11. That is not a good ratio, and that was not a good result for the house.
And we talked about this on yesterday's show. Davies, he's got 11 wins, but he was third in run support. So he's had a lot of issues, and the markets want to go against Milwaukee right now. They think they're phony. They lose again, although Davies pitched well. Pirates win in extra innings, and they 20-cent move. They went off a $1.60 home favorite.
Probably could have put this one in the bad beat section too, but I think it fit better in the bad for books because the Pirates have destroyed the books in this series. We said the same thing on Monday or on Tuesday's show after Monday's game, and on Wednesday's show after Tuesday's game, and on Thursday's show after Wednesday's game. The money has poured in on Pittsburgh. Don't be surprised if the Pirates go off as bigger chalk than they are right now in the series finale. Early start action today.
And another day game. Seattle wins again. They beat Houston. Paxton has been terrific. He's found his groove here.
Oh, Paxton is, 4-0 with a 2.05 ERA over 4 July starts. The Mariners won those games by 12 runs. This is the third time this season that James Paxton has completely flummoxed the Houston Astros. And maybe bettors, about a 20-25 cent move towards Seattle. Bettors wanted Paxton. They also didn't think, perhaps, that the market adjustment was enough initially for the absence of Carlos Correa. That's a big loss for Houston moving forward.
Up next, big game breakdown. We'll start with a pretty good pitching matchup with Fulmer against Duffy. And then we'll get to the Cowboys in the deep dive on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Time for Big Game Breakdown. As always, live odds powered by BetOnline. More than just an online betting site, much more. They built their reputation by focusing on what bettors want, what we want. Exceptional customer service, strong promotions, and every possible type of wager players are looking for. Check out the bonus page, sportsbookreview.com, for the latest and best offers to open a new account today. Tigers and Royals, Fulmer against Duffy. The BetOnline number, Tigers $1.18, 9 the total. 9 under, minus 125. Fulmer, under the radar here with the markets the last 2 years. 7th in ERA, 8th in FIP of 64 pitchers at 250 innings or more. He doesn't have the strikeout sizzle, Teddy, but everything else is working.
Well, that's just it. When the guy doesn't have the strikeouts and his FIP is still rock solid, as you mentioned, number 8 out of 64 pitchers who've thrown that many innings, it tells you that the rest of his stuff has to be really good. The walk rate. 2.2 per 9 innings. The ground ball rate, just shy of 50%. And the consistency from Michael Fulmer. He's allowed 3 runs or less in 16 out of 18 starts this season and 34 of his last 39 starts. So when you're keeping your team in position to win just about every time you go out there, and the markets aren't paying a whole lot of attention, well, that tends to be a good sign. Although we have seen a little bit of Detroit money already in early betting action, not just at BOL, but across the betting board.
Now, what happened here? The Royals were on a hot streak, and they were really close to Cleveland, and now they've been cold.
Oh, ice cold. I mean, their offense went flat. I mean, I know they won last night on that blown save. They scored 4 runs, but it still wasn't an offensive explosion. Prior to that, they were 1-7 the previous 8 games. They scored only 19 runs during that span, and they keep waiting for something from Alex Gordon. I don't know that Alex Gordon's going to rebound. And it might be time to think that this guy is done. Look at the decline from Alex Gordon over the past 3 seasons. A guy who was playing at a very high level to a pretty bad level to an extremely bad level of 133 players with 800 or more at-bats the last 2 seasons. Alex Gordon ranks 129th in offensive WAR. Right now, he'd be better off on the bench but KC's paying him a whole lot of money to be there.
Now to Danny Duffy, and remember, the win-loss record of a pitcher, that's a team stat. It also, a lot of it relies on luck. Look at this, it's Duffy. I mean, he's 12-3 last year, now he's 5-6 this year. But look at the numbers. The ERA is the same, and the FIP is pretty much the same too. But last year he was 12-3, and this year he's 5-6, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing that kind of stuck out to me last night at Fenway was how much, you see it, but it's more in your face when you're at the game. The weak ground ball that goes through that scores 2 runs with 2 outs and 2 strikes, and all of a sudden the pitcher gets frustrated. There's a lot of luck in baseball in that regard versus the line drive that goes right at somebody. Danny Duffy, in terms of his baseline numbers, the same this year as last year. The wins and losses, a ton of luck involved in that, and not much a pitcher can do about it. But, I mean, this Kansas City team, remember, they're a World Series team in 2014. They win the World Series in 2015. Last year, they're in the playoff race right into the final week of September before a late slide. Maybe it was the final 2 weeks of September before a late slide. But this team just doesn't have that same feel, Pauly. Not even a little bit.
No, I'm with you on that one. All right, game number 2. Severino against King Felix. Good matchup. Yankees and the Mariners. Bet online number. The Yankees are $1.17 on the road. 8 the total. Over -120. Big series. I mean, it's American League, so everyone's involved in the wild card. And with that trade the Yankees made, they're loaded in that bullpen. And, we'll get to Frazier in a second. But the good thing is they got rid of Clippard, who couldn't get you out, Teddy.
Yeah, he could have gotten me out. But he couldn't get major league hitters out, at least of late. But, I mean, this bullpen's so loaded, it's ridiculous. And that means when the Yankees have the opportunity, now they can put the quality relievers in the 6th and the 7th and the 8th and 9th. It means Severino doesn't have to hold anything back. He can throw as hard as he wants without having to worry as much about eating innings and pitching into the 7th or 8th. And that matters because, of course, when you're talking about average fastball velocity, Luis Severino, #1 in MLB this season. And of course, we love the advanced metrics. When you have the heat and you have the ground balls, that's a great combination. When you're over 10 strikeouts per 9 inning and over 50% ground balls, that's all-star territory. Luis Severino, 10.3 strikeouts per 9, 51.5 ground ball rate. That is really impressive. And of course, that's why the Yankees are road favorites against King Felix in Seattle today.
Frazier hit 56 home runs the last 2 years. But of 91 players, our stat guy's terrific, but of 91 players with at least 900 at-bats, he's dead last in average at .220. He's 78th in strikeout percentage. Another good point. How many of the home runs would have been fly ball outs to deep left center at Yankee Stadium? Definitely cause for concern there. They had bullpen depth, which is great. More guys that can come out and throw gas and strike people out. You get Robertson, you get rid of Clippard. Also, you get rest for Betances and Chapman. Betances was especially overworked. He couldn't find the strike zone for that 2-week stretch as well. So I don't know about Frazier, but it really helps the bullpen. Now you only need 5 or 6 strong out of the starters.
Well, remember, that bullpen was already #2 in baseball in fielding independent pitching, FIP, and #2 in baseball in WAR. So the bullpen's not going to get a whole lot better. It was already elite. But now when you're talking about 5 of the top 25 relievers in all of baseball in strikeout percentage, all sitting in one bullpen, and you know it, Pauly, I know it, when our postseason games are decided in the late innings, a good bullpen, an elite bullpen means everything in postseason play. Heck, the Royals will tell you that. That's how they won their World Series and how they made the other one. Right now, the Yankees bullpen, and I'm with you, that Frazier, not necessarily going to be the guy to make a difference for the Bronx Bombers, but whenever you can strengthen that bullpen, you don't give up that chance.
Is this a fluke, or should we really be concerned about Felix Hernandez here?
I think we should be very concerned about Felix Hernandez. I mean, his career numbers are obviously, the guy's a potential Hall of Famer, I would think. In 2017, he's down in everything. And a couple of these numbers are really concerning. Look at the graphic right here. The home run to fly ball ratio. Career, 11.3%. This year, 24.5%. That's ranks number 159 of 162 pitches at 50 innings or more. We look at the line drive rate. Career, 18%. This year, more than 24%. That ranks number 152 out of 162 pitchers with 50 innings or more. So what's happening, His average fastball velocity is down, 91.1. That's 5 miles an hour below his career high. And he hasn't made it past the 6th inning since coming off the DL. 6 starts, all of them with at least 16 pitches per inning. King Felix used to be able to challenge people. Now he's dallying. And when batters are getting their wood on his fastball, they're clocking it with line drives and home runs. I'm not convinced King Felix bounces back anytime soon. Last start in Chicago, I mean, look at the quote that he had. Not a good one. He got the win, but only lasted 5 innings, threw nearly 19 pitches per inning. Quote, "It was a battle the whole game. I couldn't find my rhythm. I couldn't find the balance in my mechanics. I was all over the place."
Up next, the Dallas Cowboys as we start the NFC East, coming up on SportsBit, play of the day as well. SportsBit, betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Wrapping it up. Time for the deep dive in a second. We'll get to the Cowboys. First, one more. This was close to a moose. This is a horrible beat that we forgot and really saved the books. The Dodger game. Dodger parlay. Dodgers and over. Dodger run line. Game was called because of rain after 8 innings. So that's a refund there. You cash your Dodgers ticket, Teddy. But that's vicious if you had a run line or the game over. Tough beat.
What are we talking about, 9-1 final? Yeah, that's one that probably should have been in segment 1. When you have a 9-1 final and you can't cash your run line ticket or your over ticket, no joy in Mudville. Tough push, I guess. You get your money back if you had LA on the run line, but that definitely one that made the night a little bit less disastrous for the sports books around the globe.
All right, Costa Rica, August 4th and 5th. You're going to be there. Tell the people about it.
Yeah, we're running out of time, man. If you want to get in on this, look, it's me. It's Gil Alexander from VSiN. It's Clay Travis from Fox Sports. We got Gabe Morency. I'm excited to see Morency. Mark Lawrence, nicest guy in the world. Matthew Holt from Canner Gaming. The list of contributors growing and growing. Ed Feng's going to be there. Drew Martin, Loshak. I mean, all the SBR gang. It's going to be a blast. It's August 4th and 5th. Here's the website. www.ifbc.live stands for International Football Betting Conference. ifbc.live. Go there now. Get on board. We'll see you, in just about 2 weeks.
Drew Martin and Zach will be there? Oh, I got to go now. Oh, that'll be great. All right, deep dive. Dallas Cowboys, NFC East. Cowboys, win total 9.5. Who knows what's going to happen with that, with the Elliott possible suspension. In any event, mainstream stats. Over under 9.5. Last year, 13-3 straight up, 10-5-1 ATS, 6-10 of the under. After all the issues at home, they finally had a good season at home. 7-1 straight up. And of course, you know what happened in the playoffs, 1 and done. Mainstream stats, 20 takeaways, 15 giveaways, +5 turnover margin. 6 yards per play on offense was 4th in the league. 7.5 yards per pass was 4th. 28 sacks allowed. That was near the top. Number 3 in the league in 4.8 yards per rush. They lost a lot of guys on defense. What did you think of the defense last year?
Well, I mean, you look at those offensive stats. Offensive stats are all, top quartile, number 4, number 3. That's how they won 13 games a year ago. And the defense, basically last year, was solid. Wasn't spectacular. Near league average all over the place. 5.5 yards per play allowed. That's right at league average. 6.6 yards per pass attempt allowed. That's right by the league average. 4 yards per rush attempt allowed. That's near the league average. 36 sacks. It was basically an average defense. Marinelli did a real nice job with that D, coaxing, I think, better overall results than the stats might indicate. But it's also a defense with a fair few questions coming into the new campaign.
They signed Carroll, who's 30. Good luck with that. They lost Carr and Claiborne. Those are the issues there on defense as well. They drafted Charlton out of Michigan. They also took Switzer, the wide receiver out of North Carolina. He'll be a lot like Beasley in that regard. But Doug Free retired. That shouldn't be a problem, though, because the guy behind him was a terrific run blocker as well. What do you think about some of the moves in the draft picks?
Well, it's interesting because, the number 2 and number 3, both a pair of cornerbacks that are going to be thrown on the field, and Awuzie and Lewis from Colorado and Michigan, respectively. And then let's not forget, there were 3 guys who they drafted last year who didn't see the field. They were essentially redshirted. Jalen Smith's the one that everyone's talking about as a guy who could be a potential starter week one in this Charles Tapper and, of course, Rico Gathers, and you throw in Charlton to bring in a pass rush, it's a secondary that has a lot of questions. Obviously it does. When you're looking at Nolan Carroll and Orlando Scandrick as potentially the two guys who are going to be starting on opening day, that's problematic. And you look at the losses, they lost a ton of guys. You had Ronald Leary on the offensive line go. Doug Free retired, as you talked about. Brandon Carr, J.J. Wilcox, Mo Claiborne, Barry Church gone, Terrell McClain, Jack Crawford. Those are a lot of losses for a defense that was pretty good, but not elite last year. I've got my bigger questions about Dallas come on the defense side of football coming into this season, but that doesn't mean we don't have questions about the Cowboys' offense.
Well, they're low. They have a ton of stars on offense with a great offensive line, but we could really find out what Prescott's made of here if Elliott gets suspended, because this is huge. He led the league in yards and carries, and they don't have much behind him as far as I'm concerned. Now, the other thing, too, if he's suspended 1 to 2 games or even longer, Adam Schefter reporting it could be 1 to 2, you open up with the Giants at home who swept you, then you go to Denver, and then you go to Arizona. So that could be tough out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys' schedule is not easy, but my bigger question on offense is not about whether they can survive a couple of games without their star running back. My question on offense is you had a rookie quarterback last year that finished number 3 in the NFL in QBR with 104.5, above many of the elite QBs. Number 3 in the league. He had nearly 68% completions. He had a 23-4 touchdown to interception ratio. So my question to you, Pauly, can Dak Prescott repeat what he did a season ago? Can he come close? Because if he doesn't, if he falters even a little bit, this Cowboys team's not going over 9.5 wins this year, not with the schedule they've got.
I say no, and that's why they're in trouble if Elliott's suspended. I don't see how you can repeat that season, though. I'm with you. 23 touchdowns, 4 picks. I mean, they have a lot of weapons. I just don't see how he's going to be able to do that again.
Yeah, and of course, going back to the schedule, there's not many patsies on this schedule. What do they get? They get San Fran and L.A., and you know what LA's like. They're always, they're a very physical team. They're not necessarily an easy team to beat, even though their record is not expected to be great. But the NFC East faces the NFC West and the AFC West. Dallas, by virtue of that first place finish, the 2 extra games, Green Bay at Atlanta. No pansies there. There's not a lot of off weeks for the Cowboys this year. Ton of primetime games, ton of Sunday night, Monday night. Whenever they can get the Cowboys on TV, they've done it. Team that played at a peak level last year, and look at the win total, 3.5 wins lower than we saw them finish last year. Betting markets are telling us something with this number, and I don't disagree with that.
No, yep. Jason Garrett, he needs a good year too. He was awful in that playoff loss to Green Bay with the clock management. Unacceptable. You got to do a better job. And also, 11 years in a row, 4 playoff teams from the previous year, at least 4, 11 years in a row, have missed the playoffs the following year.
Sure. The average, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. The average is between 5.5 and 6. Basically, half the playoff teams from one year will be gone the next year. Dallas certainly has that potential. I'm not in a rush to bet the Cowboys under 9.5, but I'm sure as hell not betting them over.
All right, money time play of the day. Back to Detroit and Kansas City. Where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah, let's take a look at betting number 965. The Detroit Tigers minus 118. We like Fulmer. We don't like KC right now. I know the Royals got the blown save win last night. I don't think they're going to do 2 days in a row. Look for the Tigers as short chalk minus $1.18. That's our play of the day.
All right, we're getting close. 2 weeks away from our first football game. Cowboys-Cardinals Hall of Fame game. We'll close out the week strong tomorrow back here on SportsBit. And with the team I like a lot, the Giants. SportsBit. Betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.